I recently moved to America from Australia, and these are some things in Australia that I think would send Americans
Okay,
into
I
a
hear
coma.
you. Coma, huh? Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by, supporting your girl once again on this channel. So, all credit goes to the creators in these videos. Guys, thank you for the support on the cultural shock videos that I post. Yeah, amazing. So, guys, in today's video, from the topic, I know you already know what we are diving into. Let's
American
see.
things I didn't realize were so American until moving to Australia. So, this one I've chatted a bit about before, and it's basically how behind the US, and I've also heard parts of Canada, are versus Australia in the sense of banking. For example, in the US, I first got like PayWave, a card with PayWave in like 2020, 2021, whereas it's been a thing in Australia so much longer than that. I mean, like bank transfers are so much easier in Australia. It's so much quicker. It's seen as like so safe to just be like, here's my account number, here's like my BSB. Whereas in the States, like I grew up like being told, no, you never share your account info with anyone. Like it's very much more advanced in different ways here in Australia over the US. I would love to hear more if you've like realized this before or heard anything about it or have been to both countries and have experienced like paying for things or banking in both the US and Australia. I would love to hear more.
I'm an Australian who just got back from America, and I want to talk about a few of the differences that threw me off a little. Starting off strong, and I mean strong, is the alcohol. Like, in Australia, there's certain standards, like you need to pour a certain amount. In America, they just pour that shit with their heart. Like, what do you do if you get pulled over? Like, aren't you gonna blow over the limit? I don't understand. Another thing that I found odd was they call their appetizers their main meal. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in Australia, that's like the snack that you have before your mains. Like, anyway, that threw me off a little. And then don't even get me started on the tipping. And I know everyone talks about this, but to pull out your calculator just to pay for your meal is wild to me. And since we're on the food topic, they don't do gravy. Like, you don't do gravy with their, like, they don't do gravy with their steak. They just use sauces. They have gravy on biscuits, which biscuits are scones. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. The other thing that's crazy to me, and I know everyone knows that we drive on opposite sides of the road, but footpaths, or should I say sidewalks, is opposite. So they walk on the right side. And I don't know if that's common sense or what, but it was just, yeah, it was just crazy to me. Like, even their light switches, we flick down, turn on, they flick up. Like, everything is literally switched. Like, why? Why is that necessary? Also, number plates. They don't have number plates on the front of their cars. But then again, they don't have speed cameras everywhere. So, I mean, it's not really necessary. And another thing, clotheslines. They're just not a thing. Like, I was like, where's your clothesline? My what? Like, what do you mean? Like, and I get it. We have dryers in Australia, but I mean, majority, we use clotheslines. But they're just not a thing at all, which is crazy. Save power. Oh, and the other thing is the happy birthday. It is so weird to hear someone sing happy birthday and not do the hip hips. It just ends. Like, that's it. I'm like, where's the rest of the song? Anyway, I could go on forever. Like, there's just so many differences, but that's just a few of the things that I found a little bit odd. But anyway, I love America. I loved everything about it.
All right, y'all. So let's talk about these culture shocks, right? Because the more I learn, the more I'm like, whoa, there is no way this is real. So first of all, Australians walk around barefoot. Okay, this was a culture shock to me because I was thrown off balance. I'm like, what? In grocery stores, Australians, are you there? What is this? Okay, is it I'm trying to understand why. Like on the streets, I'm talking no shoes, no socks, just vibes. Okay. But if you do that in the US, somebody call security and somebody say Jesus. And don't let me get started on how they say no worries. Like Australians are really sweet. So literally everything. But in America, you're like, hey, I crashed your car, and somebody's like, oh my god, what's that? And in Australia, the person is like, no worries, mate. I'm like, what? And also, The tipping culture, Americans be calculating 15, 18, 20% like it's a math test. No offense. And Australians are just like, nah, we pay our workers different wages. Must be nice, right? Let's keep
I was
watching.
watching the US Love is Blind, and it reminded me of this really big cultural difference that I've always noticed between the US and Australia. For reference, I'm an American who now lives in Australia. I've been here for 7 years. And I've always been under the impression that marriage is just not as big of a deal or as big of like a maturity milestone as it is in the US. One of the first shows I actually watched in Australia was the Bachelor. I was so shocked that at the end of The Bachelor in Australia, they don't get engaged. I thought that was like crazy. I've gotten the impression that people treat a long-term relationship as basically the same as a marriage, and I'm pretty sure the law backs this up as well. For example, even the visa that I'm on in Australia is called a partner visa, so you don't actually even have to be married, you just have to be in a long-term committed relationship that's legally de facto, which means that you have been, living together for a year or more. The equivalent visa in the US is actually a marriage visa, so technically you have to be married. I feel like it's fairly normal here to have like a dog and kids and a house and cars and like go on holidays together and all of these things, and not be married and just be in like a long-term committed relationship. My partner and I were actually together for about 6 years before getting married, and this was considered like a pretty long time. Overall, I just don't think that there's that same level of like desperation to get married, which I feel like is good. And I don't know, what do you guys think?
And there's some things that I find really interesting. For instance, when you say thank you in Australia, you say you're welcome in response, or it's all good, no worries, mate. However, in the US, when you say thank you, the other person will tend to reply with, And I'm like, what? Why? Like, is it because you're entitled? Or is it like, what is it? Like, that took me back. However, I know that it is just their way of saying you're welcome, but it sounds really passive aggressive.
I took a sick day from work, and I always say that the biggest culture shock living in Australia is the work-life balance. I was reflecting and I was thinking like this is one of those moments where the work-life balance is really true, because when I said I needed sick leave today, it was just completely a non-issue, which is pretty much the opposite of my experience working in the US. My experience in Australia is that it's never an issue. I've actually apologized before for requesting annual leave, and I've been laughed at by an employer here in Australia. So more times than not, if I need time off here, it's a non-issue. It's not a burden. And even if it is a burden, like, I'm not made to feel like I'm a burden. I'm not made to feel like I'm inconveniencing anyone. It's just like human. Whereas in the US, in my specific workplaces at least, it was always like met with kind of a like, oh well, we're gonna have to see what we can do, or so yeah, I'm sure there's great employers in the US, but it's just one of those things that I'm like, wow, I'm really grateful to be here, because I can be sick and like take time off and it's okay. Like, it's just something that happens. It's just
I'm an American living in Sydney, Australia for the past year now, and here's some culture shock moments I've experienced. The one thing I was super surprised about is that you don't swipe your card before you get gas. Also, they also call it petrol, but you pay after you get the gas. If you forget your wallet or you don't have your phone or it's not charged, then it's like an IOU. Yes, you'll see people walking barefoot everywhere, and I think it's normal because I've always lived near the beach, but I always find it a bit funny when you're in closer to the city. The term, how are you going? That doesn't come naturally out of my mouth. I'm very much a how are you or how's it going, not how are you going. Also, cafes and restaurants will close around like 2 to 3 in the afternoon. So if you want to grab a quick bite anywhere, it's kind of hard to find until you wait until around 5 for dinner. Those are all I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some more.
It's very normal not to wear shoes. And I'm talking in a grocery store, at cafes, especially when you're by the beach. Like, shoes are optional. And if we do have casual shoes on, it's either Birks or thongs. The coffee. say no more. American coffee is just not the same as Australia. To be honest, Americans probably wouldn't love it because it doesn't have creamer. That's not a thing. Sticking on that cafe side of restaurant-y things is you don't tip. That was such a foreign thing when I got here. I think the tipping is because of the wages. I'm not really sure. But yeah, in Australia, we don't tip. Next is the language. I don't know if it's just where I am or like the people I hang out with, but they don't really swear. I feel like Australians, we have like a potty mouth. I've never heard anyone say the C word. And maybe there's a couple of F-bombs, but back home, like, it's in every second sentence. Chicken salt. If you guys had chicken salt, you would never be able to eat hot chips the same. No other seasoning compares. Now, my last one of this part is the weather. In Australia, you don't really experience, like, all 4 seasons. It's either, like, kind of chilly or it's hot. Especially where I'm from, winter is not like
moving
winter
to Australia from America. I've been living in Australia for over a year and a half now, and I only just experienced this like vocab grammar usage just the other day, and I'm honestly quite shocked that I was not informed of this before, that Australians call a period a full stop. Like, actually, they call it a full stop. It's not a meme. Like, they call it a full
So
stop.
guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you lived in America and Australia, or you moved from America to Australia, or you moved from Australia to America? Let me know what you think the culture shocks are. So yeah, America and Australia might both speak English, but trust me, they are living completely different lives, right? From the barefoot grocery runs to kangaroos in the backyard. So it's giving parallel universe vibes, right? But that's the cool part, because culture shock just reminds us that what's normal in one place can be absolutely and totally wild somewhere else. It's funny, it's eye opening, and sometimes it's even a little humbling. Like, some culture shocks can humble you. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you ever experienced a culture shock either in the US or Australia or anywhere else? Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to stay safe. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ciao.